If you're a young professional, if you're an athlete, if you're an artist, and you're trying to take yourself to that next level, and you're doing a couple different things here and there, but they're not giving you the level of acceleration or inertia that you want, well, then check this video out because we're going to be talking about turbocharging our brains. How do we prime ourselves to hit those targets? How do we prime ourselves to get over barriers, to get over hurdles, and actually reach the thing that we want to reach? So check this video out. You don't want to miss it. When I finished high school a long time ago, and I decided that I'm not going to go the conventional route because it just didn't feel right for me. And at the time, I didn't have any money, so I couldn't really go to a good school that I wanted to go to anyway. At that time, I decided that, you know what, let's figure something out for ourselves. Let's see what we can make of ourselves because I'm a very intuitive person. But what was interesting at the time was I was so stuck on like this rigid schedule of like what school was wanting me to be, because my whole life I grew up on somebody else's schedule, that the moment I lost that schedule and I didn't have a school or a curriculum or a job to replace that schedule with, it threw me into this free fall. And it was really interesting because I remember for like those first 2 years, I I was just trying to get a grasp on how to like control my own movement through time. And so that's basically my definition of what a schedule is, because when you stop living on somebody else's schedule and you start living on your own schedule, you start to understand that it's really just your movements and your actions and your intentions beforehand that shape what a schedule is. Now, if you're just sitting in 4-hour meetings all day long, then yeah, you have a little bit less control, even if you are the controller of your own schedule. But over those couple of years, I started to understand that, like, or at least let's say that I had a few experiences where I realized like how little I actually understood about controlling my own time, my own energy. And it really all started with my brain, right? Because it's like it was me waking up in the morning, and then instead of going and doing the thing I should be doing, I would end up instead going and checking Facebook at the time, or going and seeing if anybody wanted to hang out, which was fine. I was like 19, 20 at the time. So yeah, I was still wanting to hang out with all my friends. But those years were really valuable because they taught me that I can optimize for myself. I can make myself better. I can be more efficient with my energy, and I can think more clearly and with more intention on the things that I'm doing, so I don't spend a ton of time kind of just running around in circles. And that's exactly what I really want to talk to you about today, which is turbocharging your brain. Now, you're not actually turbocharging your brain, but you are taking it to the next level. You are making it more focused. You are letting it push out more air. And so when that happens, you actually start to grow and you start to condition yourself to the next level. Now, this is only the second video on this channel, I believe, but conditioning yourself is one of the biggest factors for your own actual progress, because you don't know what you don't know. And so until you start looking for different ways to approach problems in order to solve them and overcome them, you're not going to know that there was an actual answer for that. Now, when I say that, it might sound a little silly, but in reality, when you're actually stuck in the moment in the problem and you don't know which way to go, it's very enlightening. It's very helpful to be like, okay, let's shift a little bit this way, or let's shift a little bit this way. And I think that's really important. But let's talk about what turbocharging your brain really means, because it doesn't mean taking a bunch of drugs that are, research chemicals and trying to be like, haha, look at me, I'm a genius. That's not what that is. And I think it's very deceptive for people to be kind of promoting that culture, because it's not going to help you long term. And any successful person in this world knows that the long term is the thing that actually makes you successful. It actually puts you to the next level. No one gets to the next level overnight. It just, life doesn't seem to work that way. At least it never has for me. And so when you take all those research chemicals out of the equation and you're like, okay, well, how do I actually just condition my brain? Right? Like there's that keyword again, it's conditioning. How do I condition my brain to take it to the next level? How do I turbocharge my brain? How do I make it more focused and more intent filled? And so once you start doing that, you inherently, what happens, or at least what happened for me, is I started creating rule sets for myself. And these rule sets would dictate how I would sequence out certain events. And so, like, let's say if I had a couple problems to solve that day, what I would do is I would sequence out those events in order so that I can get as much stuff done in the smallest amount of time. And over the years, I would create these rule sets, and I didn't really think about them as rule sets. I didn't think about them like this. I was just like trying to optimize my time so I could go do other stuff. But what they ended up doing was they ended up showing me that like my brain is really super flexible, it's super malleable. And part of being an extremely efficient, effective person is being able to constantly adjust how you approach or think about problems or what side you choose to stand on. It's all those things in sequence that make you more effective and efficient as a human being. And it's extremely important in this day and age because something new can come out tomorrow that no one ever knew about. And the people who are able to quickly adjust their brain to that type of wavelength are the ones who are going to be able to quickly adjust, condition, and grow. And so that's kind of the truest secret that I've seen so far in my own life. But what I do want to talk about also are these rule sets. And these rule sets are important because when you start creating them for yourself, no matter what kind of life you live, what kind of stuff you do, how many responsibilities you have, if you have kids or if you have businesses or if you need to travel all over the world type of thing, all those different scenarios work for this because your brain is still simply just a sequence of steps. Now, let's step back for a couple moments and think about how most people sequence out their steps. My light's dying. I need new batteries. So how most people sequence out their steps is they don't, frankly. What they do is they just go through their life and they have a rough rubric of what they need to get done. And then they kind of just get distracted halfway through or a quarter way through. And they never end up finishing the stuff that they needed to get done. And so there's not a lot of intention behind that. Like there's just an overall general idea. And that's not really how these rule sets work. These rule sets require you to be a lot more specific because you know how everyone tells you that you can't do stuff without like other help. And I totally disagree with that because it's like if you focus and you tell yourself you're going to do something and you don't do it, well, you're just lying to yourself. And so you have the capability to not lie to yourself. Therefore, you should be able to write, okay, at this time, I'm going to do this. At this time, I'm going to do this. At this time, I'm going to do this. And you don't need any outside help for that. It's just you creating rule sets for yourself. And now, of course, the first day is going to be pretty difficult because depending on your amount of motivation, you're going to either be looking forward to doing something or you're going to be kind of trying to figure out a way to not do it. And the worst thing you can try to do is to let your brain play the tricks on you that tell you that you can't go and do something today because of X or because of Y, So that's my approach. That is like, you just need to go get it done. You need to jump into the cold water and you need to like just get it over with. The second day is going to be actually probably harder than the first day because the second day is where you start building that consistency. It's where you start building that conditioning factor. And so those 2 days are extremely difficult, and following through on it every single day is the thing that's going to actually make you change. Most people try to do something for a couple days and it doesn't work for them, and so they give up or they get once again distracted because their focus is not intent filled. They're not actually focused on doing this every single day. So by week 4, they've only done it twice that week. And they're in that in-betweener phase. And that's the thing we want to avoid. And that's the thing that I've always had problems with schedules, because when it comes to someone else's schedule, I'm just a zombie doing what they want me to do, right? Like that's how I always treated school. I was just a zombie having to go from this class to this class to this class. And when I left that kind of curriculum, I was able to see that like, hey, everything you do on this planet is up to you. Like your actions literally control your outcome. It's really simple. This isn't crazy stuff that we're talking about here, but it is really nice to have it sequenced out in order in a way where it's like, okay, I can see the playing field in front of me. How do I adjust? How do I get better so that I can play the game to my fullest abilities, right? And so you want to do that with also the least amount of friction. And so what also ends up happening to people is they get motivated to do something, they start doing it, and then by day 3, their brain's telling them why they can't do this right now. because they're like, oh, but I have to go deal with Maggie. No, don't worry about Maggie. You need to deal with your life. And so you do that first, and you wake up earlier, or you find a block of time when you're going to do this. And so you condition yourself to overcome these barriers because they're really just hurdles at the end of the day. Like, your brain wants to help you, but it's been doing its own thing for so long that it's like, like I can play the game with myself. And so catching your brain doing that kind of stuff is up to you, and that's also a rule set, and it's like a fail safe, right? Like, you want to make sure that you get what you need to get done. And so when you can find the trigger of what's starting to cause this resistance that's popping up, you can identify that trigger and you can remove it by being conscious and aware that it even exists. Because most people go through their life and they just let their brain tell them what to think. Like, their brain thinks for them, but they need to tell their brain what they want to think. And then it's like you flip the roles get reversed on you. Why are you letting your brain tell you what you need to do? You should be telling your brain what it needs to do. And so, a little meta, a little woo-woo, but it's true. Like, you can really shift perceptions like that. And I know you've done it before, because everyone has had to go do something that they have not wanted to do, and they told themselves, shut up, I have to go do this right now, or else I'm going to get fired. Or something along those lines. So those are some of the things that really take people to the next step, is having intention, understanding where you want to go and where you want to take it, not letting your brain speak back to you and give you reasons not to go do something, and then also creating rule sets for yourself that give you the ability to sequence events out that let you do them over time consistently, that let you grow to your desired result. And we'll be talking more about that kind of stuff later on. I call them mental frameworks, but they've been some of the most magical discoveries for myself that I've experienced, where I can just be like, hey, let me take this piece of paper and let me just write these things down. And now let me just do this every single day and watch me grow and evolve as a person, because these sets of rules are doing what I want them to do. And you're not going to get it good on the first try. You're not going to get it good in the first week, but over time, it's crazy how much you transform as a person in that area of your life. And you don't even notice it because you're doing it day by day by day by day. But it's probably one of the most effective things that I've ever used to progress my own life and take myself to the next level. Because when you're just trying to do things by yourself and learn things on your own, you can model off after other people. But if you have a good sense of your own intuition, then you can use that to guide you, because then you're like, okay, I'm really seeking these visions out. How do I make my actions match my visions, right? We want to make sure that every action we take is extremely potent. It's intent filled, and it does what we need it to get done, instead of just kind of going through life, riding on a wave. That's not going to help us get to where we want to go, especially for ambitious people who are young professionals or athletes or artists, anything along those lines. People who want to take their life to the next level because they're seeing what's going on around them, and they're like, what if I can do better? I want to be better. I see something greater for myself. So I hope this video helps you out. It might be a little long, I don't even know, but I just wanted to talk about turbocharging your brain. And these are like the first couple of steps that anybody can take today within these next 20 minutes. All you need is a piece of paper, you need a pen, write it down. Don't use your computer or your phone, because it's a lot more intent filled. And we're going to talk about this later on. It's a lot more intent filled when you actually write stuff down with pen and paper. You actually using those hand movements, even though we live in the age of VR and technology and all this other kind of stuff, is still going to just break through some of the distractions and some of the noises that are going to happen when you're writing it on your phone. So do that today. Watch this video again. I hope it helps you out. Also, make sure to click the link down in my description. We're going to be doing like these webinar things where I'm going to basically be talking about other stuff that I've learned throughout time and how it can help you out. And we'll dial down on that and make it a bit more specific over time. But make sure to check that out and hit the email list. If you like this video and you found it on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment. Please do something. Share it with a friend who needs this. Share this with a friend who just got a new job. Share this, with a buddy who just got accepted into college or whatever. I look forward to talking to you some more later on, and I hope this helps you out, and I hope you have a great day.